All right, let's dive deep underground into the fallen kingdom of Hallownest. It's a world of echoing silence and just faded glory. This kingdom was supposed to be eternal, protected by these legendary figures whose stories have pretty much dissolved into whispers. Today, we're going to dig into the lost legends of this forgotten realm.
You find this inscription deep within the kingdom, and it's like a solemn promise from a totally different era. It talks about this incredible sacrifice, right? A huge act of devotion that was meant to keep Hallownest safe forever. It really sets this grand, almost mythic tone for the protectors we're about to talk about, hinting at just how heavy their duty was.
So this is the central mystery, isn't it? Who were these devoted souls, and what exactly was the price they paid for this so-called eternity? In this explainer, we're going to piece together the fragments of their story and try to uncover the truth behind their legends. Now, defending Hallownest wasn't just about swords and shields. The kingdom's protection, it kind of rested on two totally different pillars. You had one to face all the physical dangers threatening its borders, and a whole other one to contain this insidious spiritual sickness that was festering from the inside. And here they are, the two groups at the very heart of our story. You've got the 5 great knights, the greatest warriors of their time. And then you have the 3 dreamers, these powerful beings who made a very, very different kind of sacrifice. So let's break them down one by one. Let's start with the warriors. The 5 great knights were the sworn protectors of the throne. I mean, these guys were absolute legends, revered throughout the entire kingdom. But by the time our story starts, they're basically phantoms. Their deeds are just whispers, and their individual stories almost completely lost to the shadows. And here are their names, probably etched in stone somewhere, but definitely fading from memory. Ze'mer, Dryia, Isma, Hegemol, and Ogrim. 5 names that really should have been celebrated for all time. But as we're about to find out, history, well, it wasn't very kind to them. This quote from Relic Seeker Lem, it's absolutely crucial. See, it's not just that the knights are gone. It's that any info about them seems to have been deliberately wiped. For heroes this famous, that suggests something more than just time passing. Maybe something darker is going on, which only deepens the mystery. This is one of the only accounts that actually gives us a peek into who they were as people. Nailmaster Shio, he remembers them as individuals, not just some faceless group. He calls Hegemol mighty, Dryia fierce, Isma kindly, and Ze'mer mysterious. Oh, and the other one? That's our guy, the ever-loyal Ogrim. It's such a personal, almost fond memory, a rare spark of warmth in a really cold, forgotten history. And this is where we get to the tragic heart of their story. We have these powerful legends, but what's the reality? Let's contrast the myth of each knight with their grim final fate. First up, fierce Dryia. Her job was to guard the queen in her gardens, a sacred duty she took very seriously. Her body is found surrounded by the corpses of the mantis traitors who finally managed to overwhelm her. She fell, but she never broke her post, just a silent monument to her fierce devotion. Next is kindly Isma. They say she was incredibly strong, but also really gentle. Her fate is one of the biggest question marks in all of Hallownest. She's found in her grove, her body just eerily fused to a wall by this weird, unnatural plant growth. We have no idea what happened. It's just a silent, really unsettling scene. And then you've got mighty Hegemol. He was this towering figure, but apparently pretty soft-spoken, and had a great sense of humor. His fate is, well, it's just bizarre. He just vanished. The only clue we have is that his giant armored shell was stolen by a tiny maggot while he was sleeping. I mean, what an absurd end for such a mighty warrior. So you have to wonder, right? What happened to the actual knight inside the armor? Was he killed? Did he just leave his shell behind? The truth is, we just don't know. His fate is a complete mystery, a total blank page in Hallownest's history. So out of 5 of these incredible heroes, only 2 are left, and each one is trapped in their own personal tragedy. You've got Ogrim, who we now know as the Dung Defender, still loyally at his post, with absolutely no idea that his friends are gone. And then there's Ze'mer, the Grey Mourner, who's just withdrawn from the world, completely consumed by a grief that's hollowed her out. Okay, so now let's pivot to the other pillar of Hallownest's defense. If the knights were the kingdom's sword and shield, the dreamers, they were its soul. They made a completely different but no less profound sacrifice to protect it from an enemy you couldn't just fight with a nail, an enemy that was threatening to eat the kingdom from the inside out.
So what the dreamers did was they willingly went into an unending sleep. Their whole goal was to use their combined power to create these magical seals, locking away the source of the infection inside a vessel, the Hollow Knight, basically a living prison for a nightmare.
And these are the three who took on this incredible burden. Monomon the teacher, a being of just immense knowledge. Lurien the watcher, who kept an eye on the kingdom from his spire like a silent guardian. And Hera the beast, the queen of the spiders of Deepnest, a totally fierce ruler. Each one a powerhouse in their own right, and each had their own reasons for making this ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah, see, their sacrifice wasn't some glorious death on the battlefield. It was a conscious choice to give up their lives, their awareness, everything, all for the kingdom. It was a self-imposed eternal prison sentence, acting as living locks on a cage that held a nightmare. Just a silent, unending vigil.
So when you put it all together, the fallen knights and the sleeping dreamers, you really start to get a sense of the immense price that was paid for Hallownest's survival. A price that, in the end, seems to have been totally forgotten, just lost to time and the decay of a once great kingdom.
Just look at that number, 2. That single digit really shows you the devastating cost of the kingdom's fall. Out of 5 of the greatest warriors Hallownest had ever known, only 2 are left. It's a stark, brutal reminder of the tragedy that hit these legendary heroes.
So what you're left with is this just a completely fragmented legacy. 3 are gone, dead or missing. 1 survivor is living in total ignorance of the tragedy, and the other is basically a ghost, just lost to her own sorrow. And maybe worst of all, the kingdom they died to protect has almost completely forgotten they ever existed. Their sacrifices are just fading away. Which leaves us with this final, kind of haunting thought. The knights and the dreamers, they gave literally everything for Hallownest. They sacrificed their lives, their freedom, their very memories. But if no one is left to remember that sacrifice, did it even matter? What's the value of devotion when it's just met with nothing? It's a question that just echoes through the silent halls of this fallen kingdom.